to this video on how to buy an enterprise resource planning system, or ERP system. So by way of introduction, my name is Mark Hennessy. I'm the Sales Director at Nolan Business Solutions. I've been working with ERP and CRM systems for many years now. Started from sort of accountancy and sort of consultancy and support backgrounds, moving through into sort of sales. About 10 years ago, I've been working with SMEs to implement ERP ever since. Been 7 years with Nolan Business Solutions, so this are just my thoughts on how best to go about buying a new system for your business. So why is it important? Well, it's fairly obvious, but these systems aren't cheap. There's a significant cost investment that goes into them, and it's not something you want to do that often. So you've got to make sure you make that right decision right from the start. They take a long time to put in. It's typically sort of 3 to 6 months to put in an ERP solution, so you don't have time you don't want to waste. You've got to get it right the first time around, really. Obviously, productivity. You've got to make sure the system is a good fit for the business. It's going to give you what you need to grow. It's going to assist the business in growing, moving forwards, assisting your staff to making their jobs easier to do, and therefore increasing their productivity. And also just how to avoid some common mistakes that we've seen in selecting new systems. So often people will kind of employ a consultancy firm to come in, or a consultant will come in and produce what's called an RFP, or an RFQ, request for proposal, or request for quote. And it's typically pretty weighty documents where the consultant will come in, go through every area of the business in a fair bit of detail, documenting all the requirements, all the different business processes and workflows into a fairly big weighty document, and then ask potential suppliers to fill it in, saying, can the system meet this requirement, can it meet that requirement, is that this is an essential or not essential part requirement that's needed, so can you meet all the essential requirements, and if you can't, how would you get around them? Does it need customization, and so on? And they can be many pages long. They ask, and often what we find with these things is that they're just not sort of detailed enough, or they just ask questions that's a bit meaningless. So they may say, is your system user friendly? Is it intuitive to use? Things like that. And no one in their right mind is going to suggest that their system isn't easy to use or isn't user friendly. So just value the worth in some of those statements, some of those questions. Really, it should be better to ask them a different way. And we should be asking things like, should the business be operating in a different and better way? How can the system help us? What can we learn from the system or from the implementation partner to do things better? Is there a better way to what we're currently working? So it can be quite rigid. They don't leave a lot of room for knowledgeable partners who are, particularly if you've got sector experience. So if you've done a lot of systems in the same sector, you should be looking to learn from your partners, learn from how the system's been put together in the past. The very one way is kind of issue the document, wait for a response, and then you get shortlisted or you don't, sort of thing. And I just wonder if you're getting the best responses and really learning the best about systems in that way. And the bottom line is, the new system will change your requirements. So that, as you learn more about it, you'll find, I didn't know you could do it like that. That's a better way. I hadn't thought of that. And the requirements will change as you learn more about it. So to try and document everything up front, then try and choose a system that just meets that initial list of requirements is a bit counterproductive to my mind. So I think a better way is to prepare a shorter, more sort of succinct document. I still think documenting requirements to some level is a good idea. Clearly, you have to know what it is that you're looking, what organisational goals you're looking to achieve. But really, you should be thinking, what's coming for us for the next 3 to 5 years? Where's the organisation going, and what do we need in a system to help us get there and to really help the business move forwards? How will the success of a new system be measured? This is a great question. If you really sit and think in 2 years' time or a year's time, what will I look back on, and how will I actually measure the success of a new system going in? If you can answer that question well, then you know what system you're looking for, and also it'll just give a lot more focus around the implementation when it's going in and what goals you're trying to achieve with it. It's important to look at the high-level functional areas the system must support. Obviously, you need to make sure that we're covering off those things. So whether it's procurement or order processing or CRM or whatever it might be, fixed assets, general ledger. Clearly the system has to better meet your requirements, but don't get too bogged down in detail at this point. Detail will come later in proper system scoping workshops as you go through an implementation. It needs to be detailed enough to have confidence that the system, you can run your business on it, obviously, but it doesn't need to go down to the nth degree at this point. I think also we need to be looking at the culture of your organisation, and the culture of the system and the partner that you're looking to work with to put a system in. So are they going to be a good fit for the business culturally? Are they going to be able to form a good project team with your resources and with the partner's resources? Are they going to be able to work together going forwards? So shortlist no more than 3. I've seen people try and do more than 3 and it becomes hugely time consuming, but be very, very complicated and very difficult to do an accurate comparison between systems. So it's hard to remember what's in each system, and quite often you'll be in a demo and people say, oh, I've seen this, is that in your system, is that somebody else's, and they just can't remember. So 3 is enough. So do your homework, watch demo videos, download the data sheets, look for good case studies in your industry, have some initial conversations, but just do some initial homework. There's huge amounts of resource out there online these days, and try and get down to 3 systems in a shortlist. Once you've got your 3 systems, then really got to be thinking, am I working with a partner or am I working with a software vendor? Often, vendors will only sell for a partner channel, or there'll be a mixture of both. So you've got to make a decision which way you're going to go. There's pros and cons to both. Often partners will be very focused around particular sectors, particular industries. So if you find a good partner that's worked in your sector extensively, that's a good place to start. And other things like, how do they run their projects? What's their profit? Are they more agile? Are they more waterfall? Does that fit in with our own project sort of processes that we follow internally as an organisation as well? So is there going to be a good fit there, a good comfortable fit? I think it's really important to look for trusted partnerships, not just pure kind of client-supplier relationships. The best projects I've seen is where there's a level of trust between the person putting the system in and the client. You have to be able to trust each other and be working towards a common shared goal to get the system in and get it really working well. And also accept change. These are complex projects. Things will change throughout the project. So don't think you can sit down on day one and understand everything and you got it all planned out for the end. There's no question that as you go through, you'll change your mind, you'll find things that work better for you. The partner will come up with ideas, and things will change. So be open to change, accept that change is a key part of the project. You've got to be flexible, you've got to be understanding of that. But people by people, and I think it's true, it's very much about personal relationships, these projects. People have got to be able to get on, got to be able to work together, got to be able to trust each other. I think key in all this is references. If your partner can't provide some good references of successful implementations they've done that similar businesses, then you've got to be asking your questions, why not? So try and set a budget. It can be difficult to do this. It sounds pretty obvious, but you need to be clear about how much you want to spend, and really the best way to do it is to be looking at the return on investment that you're likely to achieve over the next, say, 3 to 5 years, and that really should be set, using that calculation to set a good budget for the system. And it will change. You won't be able to pin it down to an exact price right from the beginning. It's unlikely. I'd say there's flexibility, there's change throughout the process, but have a good idea as to what you want to spend. And that will help you to pick the system as well, because obviously they do vary in price with complexity. But it's important to be picking systems that are right for your level of business. So if you're in a particularly small business, then you're looking at the lower end of the marketplace. Some great systems out there that are very cheap these days that will help you grow to a certain level. And once you get into sort of the mid-market, then the systems step up a level. So just be sure you're looking at the right systems that are a match for your level of size and complexity in the company. The other thing I've seen a fair bit is that even a relatively small business can have quite complex requirements. So the need for a fully functional and flexible system, even though the business is fairly small, so the price can start to creep up in those areas. So once you've decided who you want to meet with, which systems you're looking at, invite them in for a discovery meeting. So get them in on site physically, and just try and gain an understanding of how the partner works, what their experience levels are, get to know the people involved. This is not a demo of the system, it's not a software demo, it's a discovery meeting. So the partner should be coming with a clear agenda to find out more about your business, what it is that you need in a system, how they're going to help you achieve your organisational goals, what functional requirements are, things like that. It's probably a couple of hour meeting to go through that in some depth, but not hugely detailed at this point. But the bottom line is, you can't effectively demo a system without a true understanding of the business. So, and it may be that if it's a partner that's very good in your sector and your business model fits the sector norm perfectly, then they can just roll out a demo there and then. But it's unlikely. More often than not, they'll need to go away do a bit of customization and build up a demo that really meets your system requirements. So second meeting, the demo should be tailored demo to your business. Don't accept sort of generic demos where the system hasn't been configured to run your business, but equally don't expect to see it exactly. Don't expect a 100% system that as it will be after a 3 to 6 months implementation, but you should get 70-80% along of the way along, and you should better see a system you can envisage running your business on. So all your key processes are covered off, all the key things you need to do to cover kind of 80% of your requirements are there and in the system from day one. It's really what you're looking for. Except there will need to be some configuration, and if it's good to understand the configuration options. And this isn't a fully technical session, and someone who's good at demoing the software will be able to show you through the customization and configuration options in the software without bamboozling everybody with technical speak. But it's important you understand what can be tailored, just what level of configuration there is available within the system. And don't be afraid to ask for a second demo or more detailed demos. It may be the accountant wants to see the financial reporting in a lot of depth, or the budgeting requirements in a lot of depth, but doesn't necessarily need everybody in the business to be there when that happens. So it's fine to go and take things offline and do follow-up demos in specific areas that either you're not sure about or you just want a bit more detail on. I think part of this process as well is working with your partner of thinking about data migration and thinking carefully about it. It's just not easy. It is a problematic step in the process. If anyone tells you otherwise, I'd be worried. The golden rule is less is best. The sort of cliches about keep it simple, and those things come very true with data migration. So migrate as little as possible. Make sure your data is clean when it comes in. There's your opportunity to clean up the chart of accounts, to get your customer file straightened out, all those sorts of things as data comes in. Think carefully about what level of history you actually need in the system. Do you really need, sales history going back 20 years or not? And if you do need that history, there's sometimes better ways to put it in than actually just into the system. So you'll be looking for a lot of advice around how best to do it, because it's a key area in the implementation. Be realistic about the timescales as well. These projects take time. So as I said earlier, 3 to 6 months is not at all uncommon. Often they're longer than that for more for larger, more complex systems. And don't rush. Set realistic go live dates. We'll say set a go live date. Have a target. Everyone needs a target to work towards in terms of go live. Else things can start to sort of lose pace, lose momentum. So set a date. It can be moved, but set a date so everyone's got something to aim at. And don't rush. Make sure when you go live, the system is truly ready for you to go. It's been properly tested, and you can run your business on it. You don't have to implement 100% of everything on day one. You could just put in the 80% phase 1 implementation, which is enough to run the main business processes, and then add to it as time goes on. It can be a really good way of doing it, because you start to get more of a return on the system much faster. So think about what you actually need to go live with, what level of functionality you need to go live with. It doesn't have to be everything. Don't forget the change management. Often we'll all get bogged down in the technical elements of a new system implementation. Making sure it's functionally fit and everything works, everything's tested, data's migrated, all these things. But end of the day, people have got to use it, and if you don't bring the people along with you, then you've wasted your time. So good change management makes a huge difference in the success of an ERP project. So getting users involved early on, getting heads of departments involved early on, helping them understand what it is you're doing, and learning from them. You'll find more often than not that users will tell you things you need in the system you didn't even know you needed. So time and time again. So that's really important to bring users on board. It can be difficult to adjust to a new system. We're all resistant to change, whatever we say. But building in some quick wins, involving people early on, is a key part of the whole process. So in conclusion, I think it's a pretty good way to go about buying a system. You need to be in a strong position to make a good decision on the right system to buy, and the best partner to implement it. You can get a great system that's put in by someone who doesn't know what they're doing, and you won't have a great solution in the long run. At the end of the day, people are going to look to in years to come as to who chose which system to buy, which system to put the business on. So you've got to get it right. People are going to be looking to you for this for years to come. It is a long and complex process. We'll do everything you can to make it simpler and to help through, but there's a lot of work to do to get it right. There's no real shortcut. unfortunately. But as I say, a lot of it will be driven by the culture of the business and the culture of the partner that you're working with and those relationships that you build along the way. So you must be able to trust and work with the partner to get the best results and to really put in a system that's going to work for the business and help it achieve its growth plans and its organisational goals over the next few years. Well, many thanks for listening. As I say, I'm Mark Hennessy, Sales Director here at Nolan's. Contact details are on the screen there. Please feel free to get in touch if you'd like to discuss this further. There's also a couple of blog posts gone on our website over the last few weeks that just explore this area in a bit more depth. So please feel free to have a read of those as well. Thank you and goodbye.